We hear a lot about digital IDs. They're sold to us as the future, right? The peak of convenience and security. But what if there's another side to that story? There's a really compelling argument out there that sees them not as a step forward, but as the first step onto a very slippery slope, one that could lead to a future with a whole lot less freedom. So let's break down that argument. Right off the bat, this is the core warning we're looking at. This isn't just about a simple tech upgrade or a new app on your phone. The argument is that this is a fundamental choice, one that could totally change the way our society works. And the biggest fear? Once we start down this road, there might be no turning back. And this really frames the whole debate, doesn't it? It boils down to convenience versus control. Sure, the big selling point is how easy it'll be having your ID right on your phone. But this perspective says, hang on, let's look at the powerful infrastructure we're building here and asks a really critical question. What else could this be used for? So where is all this fear coming from? Well, the argument points to a real-world example that's already up and running: China's social credit system. According to the source, this is not science fiction. This is a living blueprint for what a society built on mass surveillance can actually look like.
So what is it exactly? Well, on paper, it's this huge national system designed to build societal trust. But the way it does that is by constantly tracking citizens and businesses. We're talking millions of cameras, endless data points, to give everyone a score based on how they behave.
And this system isn't passive. It actively shapes how people act by basically creating two tiers of society. If you get a high score, for following the rules, paying your debts, even praising the government, you get rewards. But a low score? Oh, that comes with real-world consequences. We're talking travel bans, slower internet, even being blocked from getting certain jobs. It creates a direct line between what you do every day and the rights you get to enjoy. And the scale of this is just staggering. We're not talking about a handful of people here. The source claims that 23 million people are currently on the system's blacklist, facing the worst of these restrictions. To put that in perspective, that's almost the entire population of Australia. And this personal story really shows you how sudden and jarring the whole thing can be. Imagine this. You're a journalist, you expose some corruption, and you get sued for it. The state then puts you on a blacklist. But here's the kicker. They don't even tell you. You find out when you try to do something completely normal, like buy a train ticket, and the system just says, nope, access denied. Just like that.
And the consequences go way beyond just travel. Being blacklisted can essentially lock you out of the modern economy. You can't get a bank loan, you can't start a business or buy an apartment. It can even affect your kids' future, blocking them from attending certain schools. It's a fundamental barrier to just participating in society.
Okay, so you might be thinking, how does a system in China have anything to do with a digital ID being proposed somewhere like the US or the UK? Well, this is exactly where the argument connects the dots, and it's really the heart of the whole warning. The logic goes like this. For a social credit system to actually work, to be able to track everything and everyone, it needs one absolutely crucial ingredient. It needs a single, universal identity for every citizen. And, the argument goes, a digital ID is perfectly designed to be that foundational piece, the central hub that links every single action, every purchase, every online comment back to one person. And the source predicts it's not going to stay voluntary for very long. Think about it. It becomes essential the moment it's required for everyday life. Need to access government aid? You'll need the ID. Want to prove your age for social media? ID. Open a bank account, register a car, get a job, fly on a plane. Pretty soon, it's not really a choice anymore, is it?
Which brings us right to that slippery slope scenario. The argument isn't that we're going to wake up tomorrow in a surveillance state. No, it's a predicted path. A series of small, seemingly logical steps that could lead us to a future that nobody would have ever chosen from the start.
So here's the path that's laid out. Step 1. It's introduced as a totally voluntary convenience. Easy, simple, what's not to love? Step 2. It slowly becomes required for essential services, both private and public. Then comes Step 3, the big leap. The system expands to monitor your behavior. Maybe it tracks your carbon footprint and starts limiting your purchases or your travel. And finally, Step 4. That same infrastructure is used for direct control, like restricting people's movement during a public health crisis. And this quote just captures that fear perfectly. It's the old story of boiling a frog, right? The changes happen so gradually in these little incremental steps that don't seem like a big deal on their own that you don't even notice the water getting hotter. And then one day you wake up and realize you're in a completely different world and it's too late to jump out. So this brings us to the final piece of the argument. It moves past the tech itself and asks a much deeper question about power. Who gets to hold the keys to the system, not just today, but 10, 20, 50 years from now? And this is a really crucial point the source makes. The concern isn't necessarily about the government in power right now. Maybe you trust them completely. The issue is that you are building an incredibly powerful tool for surveillance and control that will be inherited by every future government, including ones you might not trust at all, with very different ideas about how to use that power. Ultimately, the argument suggests this is just about human nature. The idea is that concentrating this much power in one place is just inherently dangerous. Because once a tool this powerful has been built, the temptation to use it, to expand its use, might just be too great for anyone to resist. And so, we're left with this massive question. From the perspective we've just explored, the thing being sold to us as simple convenience could actually be the foundation for unprecedented control. The challenge this argument leaves us with is to look past the shiny, immediate benefits and to think really hard about the kind of future it might be building.